And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Beyond the Mic. It's been a longer absence for me, but these two guys held down the fort last week. I'm Carlos Zimmermann, alongside John Clendenin, producer Justin. It is going to be an action-packed episode today. We are officially out of football season, unless you're a fan of the XFL, or not. Either way, we got baseball right around the corner. College basketball is hitting the home stretch. Olympics is going on. It's one of the best times of the year when it's an even-numbered year when you have Olympics, college basketball, and baseball about to go into full swing. My man John, how are you today?
I'm good, Carlos. I mean, we can talk about it throughout this year, but this might be one of the best athletic years in a long time for sports fans. While you also have the Olympics obviously right now, World Baseball Classic is a month away. Pitchers and catchers reported today in spring training. You're going to have the FIFA World Cup in the United States of America this summer. And then as soon as that ends, you're going to have the start of OTAs in football. So for sports fans, there is no lull. There's always going to be multiple kinds of sports going on. But we did just wrap up the first season of the 2026 year in the NFL, and a game that was a game. That's how I'll put it.
It left a lot to be desired, it felt like. I caught the second half at Justin's house. And I came in not knowing much what happened in the first half because I wasn't watching it. It was 9-0 Seattle, and it just felt like that past Rams game from 2018 or whatever year it was. And it just didn't feel like New England was the team that we had saw throughout the entirety of the regular season and into the postseason. That was not the team that the Houston Texans had run into 3 weeks ago. That's why I put on our placard right here. Where was that Drake May 3 weeks ago? It just felt like even then his stat line still looked incredible at the end of the ball game. But Pats gave him a little ride there in the fourth quarter, made it interesting, but it was all Seattle from there, proving that they had one of the best defenses in all of the NFL, and proved that they did have the best defense overall.
And we talked about it. This is a Sam Darnold fan podcast. We've talked about him throughout the NFL season on just what he went through with the Jets and the Panthers, to finding redemption with the Vikings, to Minnesota letting him go, to go with the future in J.J. McCarthy, to landing with the Seahawks, to now winning a Super Bowl. And it's crazy that 2018 draft class, Josh Arnold, Baker Mayfield,
Allen.
Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson. That was one of the most touted quarterback classes of all time. And if you ask people to rank that first-round quarterback group, a lot of them would have put, just 2 years ago, Sam Darnold at the very bottom, right above Josh Rosen, who's no longer in the league. And guess what? He's the first guy from that class to win a Super Bowl. So, I think he may even be the first one to win a conference championship game.
Yeah.
So, just hats off to Sam Darnold. I know it was Kenneth Walker's night. I thought Jacob Myers should have been Jason Myers should have been the MVP of the game for what he did kicking the football, but no, I mean it was just a crazy game, and I'm looking forward to talking about it, man. It was fantastic.
It was, and I'd like to piggyback off that. I'm so happy for Sam Darnold. I think it was, I need to probably pull up the tweet real quick. Adam Schefter tweeted that out, and I think it summed up Sam Darnold in a nutshell, to say the least. I probably had to scroll through all of his tweets from today to find that one that he had put out last night that I thought was just so poetic. Here it is. From seeing ghosts to seeing silver in his reflection, Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold is now a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And it's a picture of the Seahawks version of Sam Darnold reaching out to a Jets version of Sam Darnold, trying to pick him up off the turf with a Super Bowl trophy in between them. And in the background is a faded Sam Darnold in Panthers, 49er, and Viking uniforms. It is awesome. I'll tell you what, I'm going to retweet it on our Twitter. Follow us beyond TM Podcast. And you guys can check it out on our profiles. I just retweeted it.
Yeah, I mean, just I think that sums it up perfectly. His time in New York, there were so many expectations. And the thing about expectation is when they go unfulfilled, it can be damning on somebody. And to go from, I'm out there seeing ghosts, and to be the punchline of that quarterback draft class, besides Josh Rosen, there are 10 teams that made a mistake, and I'm going to win 10 whatevers to prove them wrong. For every Sam Darnold, there's a Josh Rosen. There's a guy that was just as talented that for whatever reason didn't get his shot. But he found people that believed in him, and above all else, he continued to believe in himself. And this was a kid that, coming out of USC, was supposed to save the New York Jets, and quite frankly was never given the opportunity to save the New York Jets. They never put anybody around him. I think if Sam Darnold walked into the Jets team that they had this year, with his talent, they would have been a lot more successful. But they never put those pieces around him. They just said, "Oh, Sam, go do it." And they never allowed him to develop. And we've seen far too often in the NFL that these teams will just kind of discard these quarterbacks like they're Andy's toys in Toy Story. Just I don't want to play with you anymore. And until they find somebody that, after everything else has been built up, they plug in and play them. I don't think there's too much of a difference talent-wise between Justin Fields and Sam Darnold. I think Justin Fields never had the team around him that Caleb Williams had around him this year. And the coaching staff and support. Matt Eberflus just got fired from the Cowboys, and you're telling me that he was supposed to lead Justin Fields when he can't even lead a defense? How can he lead a team? So it's the same thing with Adam Gase and the Jets. I applaud Sam Darnold for betting on himself, for going, stepping up with the Vikings last year, and then saying, you know what, no, I'm not going to take the Vikings offer. I want to be the long-term guy somewhere. And when he found a team that was willing to build a team around him and believed in him, and he rewarded them with the Lombardi Trophy.
And you tip your cap to Mike Macdonald and what he's been able to do in Seattle in such a short amount of time. One of the youngest head coaches to ever win the Lombardi Trophy, third youngest. So I'm so excited for him and the career arc that he's had. He started out as an intern, and now he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. So you tip your cap to him. And I'll say this. I mean, credit to New England for getting as far as they did. They're supposed to be rebuilding right now. And they found their way to the big stage. So is it safe to say that New England is back in our lives once again after the long lull that they had? I mean, that's yet to be seen.
You say a long lull, but Carlos, it's been, 8 years since Tom Brady won Super Bowl there? Maybe even shorter. There's more competition in the AFC East now than there was when we were growing up with Tom Brady running that division. I will say, though, that I think they have one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. If they can continue to build around Drake May, then I think that they have a chance to be very, very good for the foreseeable future during his time there. But I think last night kind of exposed some things about them. I think Will Campbell, we saw he was still a rookie. As good as he was throughout the year, kid's still just 22 years old. He's still a first-year rookie trying to go against those guys. So I don't want to just sit there and anoint the second coming of New England right away. But I think there is a possibility that we could see them begin to once again factor into the AFC picture the way they did when we were growing up.
For sure. And I don't think it's just competition in the AFC. I think it's competition in the AFC more in general than when it was when we were watching Tom Brady growing up. I mean, you look at Kansas City's not going to be down for long. You know that they're going to retool and rebuild into this next season. We're hoping that it's the Texans figure things out in the offseason and start to build something around CJ. And we'll see what happens on that front. Jacksonville feels like they are trending in the right direction. You look more in the West, Denver. I think there's just a lot, and Buffalo too. So I think there's just a lot of teams surrounding in the AFC this as of late that are going to be a factor going into the Colts are bringing everybody back. Yeah.
They said, look, we got hit by a rash of injuries. We were 8-2 before all those happened. We were the best team in the AFC. We're going to bring them back and see what a fully healthy season of this will look like. So when I look at all the teams, I still think the AFC East is the weakest team in the AFC. But that's because there's legitimately 3 teams in every other division that can win that division. Whereas I think the AFC East is more of a 2-team division. And so the AFC is definitely the stronger of the 2 conferences as a whole. And, I know there was a lot of stuff made about Drake May and the quality of competition that he played and everything like that. You still got to go win the games. And that's what he did, right? You can say all that stuff you want about Tom Brady's first couple Super Bowl appearances, all right? But at the end of the day, they still had to go out there and win those games, just because Brady wasn't playing the cream of the crop. So, man, it's going to be tricky for New England to continue that sustained success. But I think that they are as well positioned as any team to do so. I think the only team that may be more well positioned than them is the Seahawks. Producer Justin talked about earlier their cap space and how much money they have to.
How much was that?
$70 million.
$70 million in cap space, so they can figure that out. And I'm sure Sam Darnold, being the journeyman that he is, understands that. If I want to win, I can't just always be the highest paid guy. Tom Brady did it for years. Tom Brady was not ever a top 5 paid quarterback until the end of his career with the Buccaneers.
Easily.
And
then you flip to that NFC side. We talk about the powers of the AFC. You look at the NFC going into the next season. Just look back at this year. The 3 best teams in the NFC came all from the West. Seahawks, Rams, Niners, and then Eagles, Bears, Panthers. Those were the top 6 in terms of division leaders and stuff like that. And then you look at Green Bay, you look at that was all playoff teams right there. So you look at it, Seattle definitely going to be coming back with a lot of firepower to defend their crown. LA's got a little bit of that bad taste in their mouth after that NFC Championship, letting that one slip away. The Niners, the Niners would have been a bigger factor if they were healthy. That was the biggest issue, I feel, in San Francisco.
If you're a Niners fan, you just have to wonder, it's like, you had to face prime Patrick Mahomes twice in the middle of that Chiefs dynasty, and that's the team that your divisional rival gets to face is the young Patriots team. So not all Super Bowls are created fair or equally. We know that from just experience, but the NFC South is always going to be wide open. Everybody thought Tampa Bay was going to run it this year, and then they missed the playoffs. Everybody thought that it was going to be the Lions in the NFC North, and just finished last at 9-8, tied with the Vikings. Went 2-4 in the division. The Bears went 2-4 in their division and won the division. So not all schedules are created equally. Not all teams get to face each other at the same time versus the same health situations. But I think if you said at the beginning of this year it's going to be a Patriots versus Seahawks Super Bowl, people would have laughed at you. They would have said, "What do you mean that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl?" what do you mean the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl? You know, and we have a 38-year-old Matthew Stafford come out and win the MVP, and can he put those numbers up again next year?
If you said at the beginning of the year, a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers comes in and takes the Super Bowl champion to the brink towards the end of the regular season,
exactly,
they would have laughed at you.
Yes. So it was one of the most fun NFL seasons as a fan of the league I can remember. It was not fun as a Cowboys fan at times. There were stretches where it was a lot of fun. I think every team experienced that, except maybe the Vic.
It was fun for a Texans fan until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but I think overall, if you're a fan of football, this season was an absolute blast. And one of the best ones that the NFL has written a script for in a very long time.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what will happen next season, but it's time to pivot away from the gridiron and
for the last time
until OTAs open up in August. So, but what a fun year! Kudos to Seattle on second Super Bowl win for that franchise. I mean, yeah, think about it. You weigh the apples and oranges of Super Bowl wins. Seattle was technically the underdog in that fight, with only one title to whatever New England had. Yeah, the 6. So to capture Seattle, and it feels like New England's starting to turn the tide of their franchise sooner than we all definitely thought. So to pivot away from the gridiron, we now go to the hardwood, the college hardwood. We are on the home stretch for both of our teams that we graciously get to cover. Of course, you get to get the inside look at Texas A&M, and then me as voice of the Bearkats get to be with men's basketball very often. So we'll look at college basketball on those fronts and as a whole. We'll start with A&M in the SEC, in what is going to be a very tightly contested SEC, it feels like, down the stretch.
Yeah, they struggled against Florida the other night. That's the only way I can put it. I mean, you shoot 5 for 36 in the first half. And it's hard to win ball games. They hung around. They played till the very end. They showed some fight. I'm not going to talk about what happened after the game with the two teams. I think there's been enough media coverage on that. But when it's so funny to me looking at the reactions of people to losing to the defending national champions who are finally starting to find their gear, like they did last year when they won 28 of their last, or when they won 20 of their last 22 games. And that is that A&M, their tallest player that actually can play viable minutes, is 6'7", and Rashawn Agee. Yep. They have a trio of 7-footers who are very hit and miss every night. So you were going to struggle with the size, and it seemed to the viewing eye, and give a shout out to my dad, Scott Clendenin, who is a basketball aficionado. But he pointed out, it seemed like the size of Florida, A&M was shooting just a little bit further away to try to get over that outstretched hand. Or they were rushing their shot just a little bit so the guy was a step further away to try to get the same look. And they they were discombobulated and didn't look like the team that had raced out to that 7-2 SEC start and lost to Alabama on an open three-pointer as time expired, 197. So all of a sudden the sky is falling, the world is ending on A&M basketball on a team that was picked 13th in the preseason and had one returning player in your fourth. And we're tied for third
with Arkansas.
With Arkansas, we're squarely in the tournament, and everything would point to this is a ahead of schedule season for Bucky McMillan. But man, I've gotten to listen to Bucky talk a lot. And our friend Andrew Monaco does their radio for their basketball team, so I'm going to talk to him about this team in particular. And it's just a very special group of guys, and that's what it takes when in this day and age in the transfer portal, when your coach is the last Power 5 head coach hired, and he has one guy on his roster that he recruits this group of guys together, and they all buy in. And that's what Becky talks about the most, is them buying in. And so when you look at it right now, they're projected to be an 8 seed. They've been as high as a 7 seed. They're 17-6 overall this year. That's a second round matchup with UConn, which would be tough, but it would be, it's an opportunity if you're A&M to continue a streak of making the dance with a new head coach. So it's been a fantastic season so far. It's been a really fun season of college basketball. I know we'll talk about that after we talk about Conference USA, which I've been following along with you, which is just a doozy of a league. But, I mean, it has been a fantastic college basketball season this far. And everything is really setting up for a fantastic March Madness.
Absolutely. I think it is going to be incredible. Looking at Sam Houston, they had a tough loss over the weekend to Louisiana Tech. Ended a 7-game winning streak for the Bearkats. But hey, it's nothing to be too upset about. I know Chris Mudge and that team would have loved to be able to get that win on the road against Louisiana Tech. But the big thing about it is, Sam Houston's just so short-handed right now. Didn't have Justin Begg, the starting point guard, on Saturdays. He's nursing a foot injury. You haven't had Chekin Jai, 6'11" from player from Senegal. You don't have him the entire season. Jackson Ford went down in the middle of conference play. He's not going to be seen the rest of the season. So you're down to 8 guys at that point. And that's tough. Just have 3 guys coming off the bench with one being a point guard or an off guard in his case, and then 2 bigs, 2 young bigs, if you will. The 3 coming off your bench are freshman guard, freshman big, sophomore big, which is kind of he's also kind of a hybrid CJ Beaumont. So it was tough. They did rebound the ball as they should. They were minus 16 against Louisiana Tech on Saturday. They were much worse on the offensive glass, which came as a shock because Sam Houston ended that ball game 12th in the country in offensive rebounds per game. So it came as a little bit of a shock when all that was happening. But even then, they were still in the fight till the very end. They were not backing down. So I love the grit that this team possesses. Just it's not in the cards for them to win on Saturday. I'm not going to say that they were going to go rattle off 16 in a row after starting 1-4. You knew that the team isn't invincible. I don't think there is a team in Conference USA that's invincible. Liberty would argue otherwise, but we'll talk about that in a second. But I still like where this team is at, and I think that Saturday was just a setback, and they can have an opportunity this week to go back out on the road against the Kennesaw team. They're looking for revenge too, because Sam beat them in Huntsville by 6, and a Kennesaw team that's trying to get themselves out of the middle of the pack and back towards the top half. So I'm excited to see how Sam Houston bounces back on Saturday at Kennesaw State in the shadow of Atlanta. So like I said, like where they're at right now, and it's far cry better than what it was about a month ago for this team, and it's exciting to watch.
When looking at the Bubble Watch on ESPN, they have Liberty as a long shot to have an at-large bid. It's looking like the Southland, our old stopping ground, might be a 2-bid league with McNeese and Stephen F. Austin. But I think the one thing we have to talk about while talking about mid-major basketball is the Miami, Ohio Red Hawks. 24-0. They're incredible. Just incredible. If you haven't watched them, I highly encourage you, find a way to watch some MAC basketball with the Red Hawks. They're 24-0. They're one of the, they may be the only undefeated team.
No,
Arizona. Arizona is the only other undefeated team in the country. Miami of Ohio is 24-0. They're 11-0 in conference play. And they've already beaten the only other team close to them in Akron that has double-digit wins in conference play. So they have Ohio, UMass, Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Toledo, and then at Ohio. The only one that is their highest ranked opponent is Ohio, who's 13-12 and 7-5 in the remainder of their schedule and the standings. So this is legitimately the first team since Murray State mid-major to go has a chance to go undefeated. If they do, I think they'll be a lock in the tournament, even if they lose in their conference championship game. But when we look at the best leagues in college basketball, I think that the SEC has been unseeded. I believe that the Big Ten has taken their place, according to the projections that computers, the Big Ten expected with 10 bids, the SEC expecting 9.5 bids. I don't know how you
that could go either way then.
Yeah. And then the Big 12 follows, or the ACC follows up with 7.9 expected bids, and the Big 12 is fourth with 7.4. But I bring up the Big Ten to kind of piggyback off your point about why Sam Houston's season is so impressive, is because they lose a guy in Lamar Wilkerson who will be a first-team All-Big Ten player at the end of this year, averaging 24, 4 and 4, shooting 45% from the field goal, 38% from three. We all knew he was going to be great wherever he went, and he is carrying Indiana on his back.
He literally did it on Saturday. When they beat Wisconsin 78-77. The game went to overtime. Mind you, it's an extra period of 5 minutes. And Indiana outscored Wisconsin 6-5.
And he had 2 field goals in the last seconds of that overtime.
Free throws. It wasn't his best night shooting the three, but that's the thing. If his three's not going, he can slash to the basket like the best of them. He was 8 for 20 from the field, 8 for 8 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, keeping that average up, and he had 25 points. He was countered with Sam Alexis, who had 19, and then Tucker DeVries, coach's kid, who had 16. But Lamar just has really he handled that game for Indiana from start to finish. And that was a big one to get for the Hoosiers against the Wisconsin team that was ahead of them in the standings. They're now 8-4. So I'm impressed with what he did and what he's been doing in Indiana. Like I said, getting to know him the last 3 years, I knew wherever he went he was going to shine, and he is doing just that in a very, very tough conference in the Big Ten, where I think Indiana right now, I think they're on the bubble. Of being able to
they're on the should be in. That's what they're under. So they are, when you look at, if I can go back to it, they have their locks and then they have should be in, and then Indiana is one of those 4 teams that should be in for the Big Ten. But I mean, last week it was just a great weekend of basketball. Duke versus North Carolina was a classic, Battle of Tobacco Road. That's one of my earliest college basketball memories, was Austin Rivers calling the isolation, draining that one to Cameron Indoor. Made me fall in love with Duke basketball and Coach K. So still love watching the Blue Devils whenever I can. Just unfortunately, don't get to really watch them as much as I would like to, being in Texas. But when you look at the bracketology that Joe Lunardi did, Arizona, Michigan, UConn, and Duke are the four number 1 seeds on the bubble. The last 4 byes: St. Mary's, Georgia, UCLA, and USC. The last 4 in: Miami, Texas, New Mexico, Ohio State. First 4 out: California, San Diego State, Virginia Tech, and Oklahoma State. So
then Seton, Missouri, TCU, Baylor would be the next 4 out.
Yes.
After that, which would be a shot in the gut there for the Big 12. Have 3 teams on the bubble missing out. But there's still a lot of basketball to be played.
And if that Oklahoma State team, they upset BYU, if they can continue to get some wins, that data point can help Sam Houston. I think Conference USA is a 1 big lead this year, unfortunately. I think a lot of chaos would have to unfold in these last couple of weeks.
The big thing would, and it would be, and I've been saying this, it would be if Conference USA wants to be a two-bid league, Liberty has to keep winning. They have to keep winning. And they've shown that, but it hasn't been easy for Liberty. This last weekend, Delaware, the last team in the conference, nearly took it overtime, and it was a 75-69 win for Liberty at Delaware. Then they hosted Missouri State. I saw that Missouri State team. They got a guy on that team. His name is Michael Osebansu. He is 6'4", 280 pounds. That guy belongs on the football field for Missouri State as an edge rusher. But he can just score at will underneath, and he made it hard on Liberty on the road, but the Flames ended up winning 79-76. So I don't think Liberty is invincible by any stretch, but they are good. I will give them that credit, that they are a really good program. Richie McKay is an established and incredible head coach for them. But if the conference wants to see two bids, Liberty has to keep winning.
Yes. Especially if you then get into that final, what's the word I'm looking for? That final game in conference tournament.
In the conference championship, let's say whoever it is in the conference championship against Liberty, should Liberty make it there and Liberty loses, then that really could be the interesting factor. It's like, okay, does Liberty steal a bid from a major school? In a major conference. So that's left to be determined. There's a lot of basketball still to be played. Looking at the league as a whole, it is a dogfight, to say the least, for really second place. Liberty holds a 4-game lead on everybody else. Like I said, it's a big one for Sam Houston this weekend. At Kennesaw State, 4 o'clock Central Time. I'll be out there with the call out there. And the SEC. You know, John A&M's in a really decent spot. You're one game back of Florida and tied with Arkansas. Kentucky's half a game up because they played one game more. Vanderbilt right behind y'all at 6-4. Those are all the ranked teams. But this could still shape out to be a really fun run to the finish in the back half of SEC play.
I think it will be. I think it's going to be, I was watching the other night, Vanderbilt lost to
Oklahoma State. Was it OU?
Yeah, who had one win this season in conference play. So that tells me everybody's talented.
Yep.
Anybody can beat anybody, and I love when basketball is like that. So
fun one tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
At the Fog in Lawrence, Kansas. Number 1 Arizona puts their undefeated record on the line at Kansas. The number 9 Jayhawks. I think that is going to be the biggest test for Tommy Peterson. I have not, no.
Carlos, he might be the best basketball player who can't play basketball in the country. He can only play like 15, 20 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll play him 13 to 15 minutes in the first half. And then he'll go out and play the first half or the first 5 minutes of the second half, and then he'll sit on the bench. And so they'll be up by 20, and then it's can we survive the last 15 minutes of the game without him in there.
Is it Darren Peterson?
Yes. The freshman guard.
He's averaging 20 a game.
But look at his. He's averaging 20 a game, but I want you to look at his.
So he missed a lot of non-conference, it looks like. Yes, because he was hurt. Right. He's averaging 26 minutes a game. Or that's 26 minutes, 6 minutes a game home. 27.8 on the season. And they beat Utah over the weekend. He played 34 minutes, scored 14 points. He's been in double figures every game he's played this season. That's impressive.
He didn't play. He played only 23 minutes against UCF. He had 26 points. Didn't play in the last 10 minutes. UCF wins that game. Their loss to West Virginia was maybe his worst game of the season. He played 31 minutes, had 23 points. Against Iowa State, when they came back and blew out Iowa State, he had 16 points in 27 minutes. Against Baylor, he had 26 points in 23 minutes. He had 18 points in 20 minutes versus BYU. and now he's starting to play more.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a guy that, if he's healthy, depending on what team looks at him in the NBA draft and what team wants to take the flyer on him, he might be the best guy in the draft this year. The only thing is he going to be healthy? How much am I going to be able to play him?
Sure.
But he is electric for the Jayhawks.
So that's tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN. It should be a fun one. I think I will pop that one on once I settle in at the house. So, all right. It's finally time to bring back our favorite sport, one of our favorite sports. I mean, you guys can be the judge of it. Baseball is back, gents. Are we excited? MLB spring training around the corner. College baseball opening weekend this weekend. It's going to be a blast. That's right. Plan accordingly, as you said up there. We'll start with Major Leagues first. I found this article from Brian McTaggart, posted earlier today. The headline is "Taking a First Crack at the Astros' Potential Opening Day Roster."
Okay.
And what it will look like, barring injuries, or this is his opening line. Barring injuries or trade, which remains a possibility, the Astros' 13-man position player group appears to be pretty set entering spring training next week. Most of the competition will be on the mound, with Houston focusing its efforts this winter on improving its pitching depth. So here's their first look at the projected opening day roster, and I'll just get y'all's reactions. For catcher, two guys. Yandy Diaz, Cesar Salazar will be his backup. First base, Christian Walker. Second base, Jose Altuve. Jeremy Pena at shortstop. The Astros did not trade Isan Paredes, so he will be on the roster with Carlos Correa in the third base spot. And then four outfielders, Jake Myers, Zach Cole, Jesus Sanchez, and Cam Smith. DH would be Jordan Alvarez. The bench utility guy would be Nick Allen, who the Astros got in that November trade with the Braves for Mauricio Dubon. And then the six starting pitchers, Hunter Brown, Tatsuya Imai, Christian Javier, Mike Burrow, Spencer Arrighetti, and Ellen J. That is their projection for the opening day roster for the Astros.
Yeah, we were looking earlier this year, or back at trying to find some clips to talk about Sam Darnold, and I found one where I told Jim Crane preventative injury care. I think that how are you going to handle the injuries? And I think they've made some moves to help soften the blow of potential guys getting hurt. Right? On MLB.com, 2026 spring training storylines, one for each team, or each team's top storyline entering spring training. Who fills out the rotations? The emphasis in the Astros winter has been adding pitching after a 2025 season that decimated their rotation, including 3 starters having Tommy John surgery. The club added starters Nate Pearson, Ryan Reese, Mike Burrows, and Tatsuya Imai, who will slot in the rotation behind ace Hunter Brown, Christian Javier, and Spencer Arrighetti, both of whom were injured most of last year, and veteran Lance McCullers, who will be counted amongst those to fill out innings in Houston's rotation this season. So we know Hunter's going to be good to go, right? He's shown he can be a workhorse, that you can count on that.
He can be the ace of this staff.
He can be the ace of this staff. What am I going to get just innings-wise out of Javi, Arrighetti, and McCullers? Right? Those 3 guys have been around your clubhouse for almost a decade now. Right? If you're McCullers, more than a decade.
Yes.
Arrighetti's been around almost 4 years now. So they know the process of what it takes to be a Houston Astro, and they know the level it takes to win and the level of excellence that the club expects. How do those guys mash with the Burrows and the Luises, who come from teams that, quite frankly,
Nate Pearson's there too.
Nate Pearson, but these guys that come from teams that weren't as good, right? The expectation of what it means to be a Pittsburgh Pirate and what it means to be a Houston Astro are completely different.
Yes, they are.
How does Mike Burrows respond to being expected to go out there and compete to the highest of his ability? I have no worry about Tatsuya Imai. That's a guy that in Japan was great, was all-star there, and has come over for the sole purpose of being the Los Angeles Dodgers and saving Major League Baseball. All right, but I'm more worried about how the rotation and that is going to look out than I am about anything else. Just the pitching depth that we've built up. Because if we keep taking hits like we have been, it doesn't matter. You can't go out there throwing AAA pitchers at Major League hitters. No. There were times last year where guys just looked overmatched against very average Major League Baseball players. And that's not me saying that Major League Baseball players aren't good baseball players. Obviously they are. But they're still an average guy. The guys that are average for that level, we struggled against. And when you're struggling against the average, you can't expect to win many games.
No, you can't. Justin, your thoughts? On
I
the
agree.
Astros?
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I was thinking about something else for a second there. Apologies. I mean, I agree. I think the Astros have done a fantastic job of kind of addressing their issues with the injuries. They went out and kind of revamped the training and conditioning staff in the offseason. I think they recognized that whatever it is that they had last year was not working. They said, okay, we're going to go back to the drawing board, and we are going to change things. I think they did a good job of addressing that. It's hard to tell because we haven't seen any gameplay or them handling injuries yet, but I'm going to choose to remain optimistic about this. I'm going to trust that Jim Crane hired somebody that he believes can improve the strength and conditioning and injury prevention of this team. So I think, at least for now, it looks like they did a good job. Once the season starts, we'll see how it actually paid off.
Right, and I forgot to mention relievers. I mentioned Nate Pearson, but you also bring a really lethal bullpen back. Josh Hader, Ryan Abreu, and you have Brian King, Stephen Oakert, Bennett Sousa, and Kaiwei Tang. With Pearson in that bullpen. They would obviously carry one fewer reliever if the Astros decide to go to a six-man rotation. They got Tang from the Giants, and there's also Angel de los Santos and their Rule 5 pick, Rodrigo Munoz. So a lot of different options in that bullpen, but I think it is very much going to be a Brian King, Ryan Abreu, Josh Hader, tailor-made three-guy bullpen rotation for your 7th, 8th, and 9th innings if those opportunities present themselves. I really love what the bullpen looks like. I like the rotation on paper. It's a matter of how do those older heads respond, like John was talking about. And then, the guys on the position players just getting back to doing what they do. We forget, Yordan played 48 games last year. That is not what you won because of his injuries, and he's your arguably the best hitter. So he's going to say arguably.
I would say he is.
So you have him coming back. You have a young outfield with Cam Smith and Zach Cole, and mixed with veteranship and Jake Myers and Jesus Sanchez. And then, of course, you have your youth on the infield with Jeremy Pena and Yandy Diaz. So I like the team on paper, but we'll see how they respond to spring training, and who knows? The Astros may not be done trying to add. So we will definitely see what happens as Justin's getting ready to hop out of here. Has to go take care of the kiddos. Until next week. Thank you, Justin, for everything, and we will see you next week. Let's pivot to the college baseball realm. For both of our programs that were around, of course, Bearkats and Aggies going to be opening up the college baseball season this week. Bearkats are going to be in Lake Charles, Louisiana, at Joe Miller Ballpark, taking on McNeese. Rare road opening series for Sam Houston. They've gotten to have the last couple of seasons to be at home for opening weekend. So Jay Sirianni is going to take his squad out on the road against McNeese. Who do the Aggies have?
We play Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech. What a matchup that moves some numbers. I'm just kidding. But it's going to be interesting this college baseball season, to say the least. I'll start with Sam Houston while it's fresh on my mind. Look, it was It was
a disaster.
Yes, it was tough.
I love Jay. It was a disaster. We can say that.
Yeah, it is on paper the worst baseball season in the history of Sam Houston baseball.
Yeah, and it wasn't on the field. It was the worst season in the history of Sam Houston State baseball. And this is coming from like I've watched Sam Houston baseball since Mark Johnson was here. So I'm not just I've gotten to know them since Debs was here before he left and Jay came in. And I'm sure Jay will tell you as well that this past season was not up to the standard of Sam Houston State baseball. But the good news is that I think they're going to be really good this year.
I think so. I really like what they did in the off season. They've one thing they've added new to the coaching staff, bringing in David Wood from the junior college ranks, being able to add him into the mix. I think is going to bring a great edge for this program in terms of recruiting, being able to get guys from the JUCO level, and I'm excited to see what they do on that front. And then you look at the roster makeup itself, you get a lot of your guys that were hurt from a year ago. Huntsville native Caleb Cotton will be back in the order, the redshirt junior outfielder. You bring back Jace Martinez, your electric shortstop, Addison Smith, the former Okie State infielder. He'll be back fully healthy, mixed in there with Blake Brown and Parker Blackman. And Ty Marflajani, you get some stability behind the plate for a second straight year. But then, of course, the big question was going to be the pitching staff. What was that going to look like going into this next season? I thought it was huge that Ryan Peterson came back for Sam Houston. He's going to be the ace of this staff. And from what I was told from Colin Neal, a good friend of ours, of the podcast, he was watching them in their inter-squad scrimmages, and Petey looks good, and even has taken a bigger step. And I'm excited to see what he will do this season. I was told one of the big arms that they'll like out of that bullpen is a Grayson College transfer, Cade Newenschwander. Awesome name, for one thing. And it just rolls off the tongue, especially from a broadcaster standpoint. So I'm excited to see what he will look like, Liberty Hill grad. And a lot of good pieces that made the bullpen what good the bullpen was last year. Zach Johnson, Felix Schlett, and Connor Mundy, being able to get those guys back was big as well. So I think, to say all that, this team is definitely going to see a lot of good success this year. It won't be a 12-43 team again. And I'm excited to see what they'll roll out this week against Phoenix.
Well, Carlos, what I really like about the makeup of the Sam Houston team is they have a lot of guys that came from winning programs. Okay, what do I mean by that? When you scroll through, you're seeing a lot of guys from Clendenin Community College. You're seeing guys from Temple. You're seeing guys from San Jack. You're seeing guys that are from that. You have Nathan Fink, who is from Ole Miss. You have guys from Lake Creek. Zach Allerade, right? We saw him firsthand last year in our district that we cover. Who he was a kid that was going to go to San Jack, and I think it was Kyle Simons comes down to watch Cade Corcoran play, and Alleride is lights out and is touching up to 92, 93 miles an hour. And Simons asked Cade after the game, he was like, hey, do you know who that guy is? Like, can you start working on him to see if we can get him to come to Sam and not go to San Jack? Where if he had ended up at San Jack, we're talking about him going to go play in Power 5 baseball next year. So guys like Cade Corcoran, who we both know and got to watch. They just have guys from these winning programs that played high-level baseball in the state of Texas, either in high school or to junior college level. some of these transfers, like I mentioned, Fink from Ole Miss. You got
Jared Curtis from Missouri.
Yes, Jared Curtis from Missouri. And Texas Tech.
And played at
Tomball Memorial. Keegan Dimmer, who won a state championship at Tomball. Right? These are the kind of guys that Sam Houston needs to go have. So I'm very excited about this season of Bearkats baseball. I think that last year there were a lot of things that went wrong. I think Jay has done a great job. Coach Ariani has done a great job identifying what went wrong and making the necessary changes that were hard changes to make. He had to let some people go that were valued members of the Bearcat baseball community for a long time. But at the end of the day, he's brought in fresh blood, he's brought in new ideas, and he's shown that he's not just going to be stuck in his ways. And so I'm expecting them to compete for the Conference USA title, which is where Bearcat baseball should be. It's a very good baseball league. D1 baseball hasn't published anything yet for their stuff, but Dallas Baptist is going to be good. That Liberty is going to be good. Louisiana Tech is going to be good, right? You are as good of a program historically as those teams, and you should be competing with those teams at that level.
Yep. So the Conference USA baseball preseason poll, I'll say this before we pivot to Texas A&M. Dallas Baptist was picked first with 9 first-place votes. Louisiana Tech was second with 1 first-place vote. Kennesaw third, no first-place votes. Jack State was fourth, 1 first-place vote. Western Kentucky rounded out the top 5. New Mexico State all the way down at 9 got 1 first-place vote. Sam Houston was picked last in the baseball preseason poll.
Good. Don't let them see you coming. All right, and this will go into a huge thing that I have about the way that we do baseball rankings and preseason stuff, and it's a larger gripe that I have with pre-seat, anything that has preseason before it as well. I've talked with Monaco about this, and I'm talked with you about it, I'm sure. That's all based off of last year.
It is.
And it's why are we basing this year off of last year? Right? I read somewhere, and maybe this can segue us into A&M. I read somewhere that somebody was like, man, I really like A&M's baseball team. I really like all the pieces they have this season, what they did in the transfer portal, who they brought back from the draft, the guys that they kept out of the portal and didn't let transfer out after a bad season. But man, it's hard to shake the taste of last year's team out of my mouth.
And I was like, man, why? The whole purpose of last year was everybody saying, well, we shouldn't have ranked A&M as high based off of their successes from the previous season. So now we're saying, oh, but we're not going to rank A&M highly because of their failures of the last season. And it's the same with everybody has to start somewhere in the RPI.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the net. The net doesn't come out for the first month and a half of college basketball until we have a giant sample size of all these conferences crossing over and playing each other. How did this team that's this level in this conference play against this team that's this level in this conference and all that stuff? Baseball doesn't have that yet, and they should. But so yeah, that's all I have to say. Good. Don't rank Sam Houston high. All right. I guarantee you that this team is completely different from last year's team.
1,000%.
And there's going to be guys, the returners from last year's teams that were hurt or maybe didn't perform as well, that are going to say, okay, yeah, don't see us coming. We like being from the back. Because when you're at the back, that's when you get to put the red dot on everybody else's back. So, I'm very excited for this year at Don Sanders, man. It's going to be fun. It's always a great environment too. Whenever
for sure
those games are going, and that's why I'm hoping that things go well this weekend. So when they come back, the students will be into it because I'm seeing how the students are with the softball team right now. And the weekend they had and showing up for the girls.
They've been big with basketball,
and they've been great with basketball. There's a lot of people here who want to go to these games.
and so I want them rewarded with the success that such fandom, I don't want to say deserves, but should be given. Right? If you're passionate about a team and a university and your students are, then they deserve to see your team win.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem saying that if your students are showing up and they're supporting your guys, they deserve to see them win. And I think Coach Sirianni knows that. I'm sure the players feel that way, that they want to win, not just for themselves, but for everybody else around this program.
Yes, Bearkats will be at the Don February 20th through the 22nd, taking on Illinois Chicago, UIC. Flames that opening weekend. They have McNeese this weekend, as I said, and then they have that midweek at HCU on February the 17th before we finally have baseball back in Huntsville, Texas. Absolutely.
It's going to be good. And down the road is another team that did not live up to expectations, and Texas A&M. And just talk about them real quick, because we're going to hear a lot about A&M baseball on here. It's one of the few sports that we have really unfettered access to when it comes to programs. They were picked 13th in the SEC. This is an SEC team or league that is the best league in college baseball.
Bar none.
It's a minor league baseball league,
pretty much.
But
who's below A&M in that poll? It's because
South Carolina, Missouri, and I want to say
16 teams. And
man, yeah, that's gonna bug me. Preseason SEC baseball. All right. Oklahoma. Yeah. So Oklahoma's 14th, South Carolina's 15th, and Missouri was 16th. A&M was 1 point behind Alabama for 12th. So just to show you perspective, the 11 through 14 teams were separated by 15 points. The separation between 14 and 15 was 35 points, and the separation between 11 and 10 was 11 points. So, I mean, everybody's going to go with LSU. I'm here to talk about A&M baseball. I'm not going to talk about LSU. But the storyline around the Aggies this season is going to be, unfortunately, tied to last year. Everybody's going to say they're great, but what are you going to? But you had the best team in baseball last year, right? But you didn't make the playoffs last year. Okay, well, dude, how many guys did you lose to injury? Like, man, Ryan Bronner had a great thing, and I might pull it up, pull up Bronny's thing about this. But the injury bug from when Braden Montgomery broke his ankle against Oregon in the Super Regional in 2024 to through the end of last year is crazy.
yeah.
Shane Sadeo, Tommy John in the Super Regional against Oregon, out for the College World Series, cost you a national championship. Jace Lavalette, hamstring, playing on one hamstring in the College World Series in 2024. All right, that's the end of that year. Before last season started, Hayden Schott re-tears his meniscus in his knee. Caden Sorrell pulls his hand, has a grade 2 hamstring pull in the last preseason practice and misses the first half of the season. Gavin Grahovac, who injured his shoulder apparently in the second game of his freshman year, tears his labrum on a swing in the sixth game of the season and is out for the rest of the year. Josh Stewart, your closer, pitches against two batters on a cold, damp night where it rained before the game. Cleat slips and he tears his ACL. Gavin Cash pulls his hamstring. Weston Moss misses the series against Texas with the stomach or with the flu. So you lose your number one weapon out of your bullpen against number one Texas. Caden McCoy sprained his knee. So the freshman that pitched here, that looked fantastic, he's out for the rest of the year. Caden Sorrell against Georgia, in a game he had 2 home runs. You're finally back, you're winning games. You're thinking if you can just win a couple of games in the SEC tournament, you may be able to get in. Breaks his out for the rest of the year. Then against Auburn, Jace Lavalette gets hit in the hand with a pitch, shatters the knuckle on his throwing hand, and proceeds to then play against number one LSU with a broken hand, to where he's having it was his right hand. So he's left-handed, so that right hand's the bottom, and he's having to hold the bat with his buddy-taped hand sticking out. And then Caden McCoy, before the season even starts this year, blows out his elbow and has Tommy John. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys have injuries that severely affected their performance, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of those were the guys that were all SEC caliber players, including 2 first-team All-Americans. When Caden Sorrell came in and played in the 26 games, he had 12 home runs, and he hit 350. He had 32 hits, 18 of them were for extra bases. So I wish that we wouldn't tie things to this team from last year. It's going to happen, but I'm really excited about what they brought in. When you look at the,
I'm just looking at this roster because I will be at A&M on March 31st, calling that game for Sam Houston against A&M, and I'm just looking at this roster and I'm like, man, it is loaded from top to bottom with not only talent but healthy talent.
Yes.
Getting Gavin Grahovic back was obviously paramount for them. Caden Sorrell was the other big one. And I'm just looking through here. I love that Clayton Freshcorn kid out of the bullpen.
He came along great at the end of last year, and his confidence was just a little rocky from getting roughed up a little bit at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of last year. Man, they put him in, and he just come in and stop him when they moved Weston Moss to the starting line.
Right, and then you have, I was going to mention Weston Moss, great kid. You have him back healthy. Trying to look through else here. Blake Binderup, local product from College Station.
Who was great at the end of the year, had a great game against Sam Houston that really springboarded him to the starting first base job. And there's nowhere for him to play.
Right. And that stinks.
Yeah, but that's a guy that at the end of the year was providing valuable at-bats, that hit 8 home runs, and now there's just not enough spots on the dirt.
And then I think the X factor of this offense, just me on the outside looking in, just on paper looking at it, is Terrence Keel.
I would say him at the top of the lineup, and Jake Dewar from FAU. Dewar, a senior who was at TCU, and then he goes to FAU. Last season hit 428, slashed over 1,000, had 11 doubles, 2 home runs, 27 RBIs. The crown jewel of the transfer portal, though, Chris Hakopian from Maryland, hit 375 last year, OPS over 1,100. 12 doubles, 14 home runs, 61 RBIs, had 40 walks to 19 strikeouts. And came here, he's projected top 15 pick, just like Sorrell, just like Grahovic. You look at a guy like Wesley Jordan, who transferred him from Baylor. He's kind of like Scott Hatterberg. He has a shoulder thing. If his shoulder was healthy, he'd be playing professional baseball right now. But some teams had some pause. And he's projected to be the DH for this Aggie team. But TK going to slide over to right field. just continuing a string of first-round draft picks in the outfield for A&M. Started with Brandon Montgomery, Jace Lavalette last year, even with the down year, got taken in the end of the first round by the Guardians. Caden Sorrell is going to get taken in the first round this year, and then TK next year. He's a guy that he kind of struggled towards the end of the year, just as every freshman does, learning how to play 60 games of baseball in the span of 12 weeks. It's rough, but I mean, it's just this team. It's just off the charts, and I'm just excited for it. And we haven't even talked about the freshmen. You're going to have two freshmen that start on the infield, and Boston Kellner and Nico Partita. Partita was the best player at Pearland, and came to A&M because he's also going to get the pitch, where he's 98 miles an hour off the mound. Right? Boston Kellner was the #1 shortstop in Arizona, and has just been maybe the best glove there. So then that knocks Ben Royo off the dirt, who all he did last year for you was hit 270 in conference play and have 10 home runs.
Consistent.
Yeah. So is the starting nine on Friday night versus Tennessee Tech is not going to be the starting nine going into the NCAA or the SEC tournament. I don't want to say we're going to make the NCAA tournament because I'm never going to take anything for granted ever again. You haven't even mentioned Shaden Sadeo, who another Lake Creek kid that was teammates. He was a year older than Weston Moss, who was seriously hearing overtures about the Major League Baseball draft and decided I'm going to come back and pitch at A&M one more year. Who at the end of that 2024 season, he was the #2 starter on that A&M team that was an out away from winning the national championship. So there's so much talent on this A&M team.
I will say this, I find it fitting that y'all are playing Tennessee Tech because you did get one of their players, Juan Vargas.
Yes.
So I don't know what his outlook is by any stretch, but that'll be an interesting thing going into this opening weekend, how he'll fare against this former team, should he get in.
Well, and Matt Braga is going to have experience. He coached at Rice. He was the head coach at Rice for a few years. That Tennessee Tech team in 2018 was one of the best in school history. And then, I mean, this is a guy that had 8 saves last year for them out of the bullpen. So there's going to be a bullpen piece for A&M. We might see him there. But from his time at Rice, he's going to have experience playing at Olsen Field. I'm sure he's going to have his guys ready for how cold it's going to be there and that north wind that's going to blow in. But
I look at A&M and their outlook. This is the cool thing for such a great Power 4 program, is that you get to play all your opening non-con series at home. Not every other team gets that luxury. Your only really big break is going up to Arlington for the college baseball series, where you get 3 really historically good programs.
Well, you play UCLA, who's the #1 team in the country. And then you play against
Virginia Tech to open that series.
Virginia Tech, who is not in the top 25, but is right there on the cusp. And then who's the third team?
Arizona State.
And then that Arizona State team that is in the next 12 on D1 Baseball's top 25. So it's going to be a good one.
The really big key is getting these first big series and being able to sweep all of them. Tennessee Tech, that one-off with Corpus, and then Penn, and then Lamar before you go to Arlington. So, but I mean, don't sleep on Lamar. They are.
No, Lamar is one of the best mid-major programs in college baseball, and especially in the state of Texas. They're going to compete with. They're still in Southland.
Yeah, they're still Southland. So they're going to be right there with McNeese.
Well, and Rio Grande Valley, Carlos. Don't overlook the Llano Valley, man. Those guys came to play last year.
Oh, I know.
So, look, last year UTRGV was 43 in the RPI, Southeastern Louisiana was 51, and Lamar was 61. And then all of a sudden Houston Christensen won the tournament. Or Houston Christian won the tournament. And then Northwestern States and McNeese both won 19 conference game. So it could be called a one big conference, but depending on how good the Sun Belt is, depending on how good Conference USA is, depending on, I'm trying to see here, some other multi-big conferences, the American is, Man, it's going to be a great year for college baseball.
It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. When you look at the current landscape of college athletics and how it translates to the pro sports nowadays, it feels like college baseball has that last little bit of great connection with the major leagues, because you look at those drafts, maybe outside of the NFL, but to me, it just feels like it's still got a little bit of that authenticity to it, despite this new era of the
college football is trying to compete with the NFL. But man, when I look at college baseball, and there's a baseball coach who said that this was the golden era of college baseball, and I can't help but agree with him, just because the MLB is seeing college baseball as a partner in development for its product. So a lot of guys are starting to go the college baseball route, and I think we're going to see next year with the lockout that's going to cancel the 2027 baseball season. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that some point down the future. That's just where I think we're about to see an explosion in college baseball and popularity, because the spirit is still there. Section 203 in Olsen Field has been the same for the past 40 years. People have changed, but the spirit has been there. It's the same thing with the students right there behind the third base dugout at Don Sanders. Man, those students get into it, and I'm excited to see if they can start stringing wins together and be the team that we think they can be. That they're going to be fantastic, and it's going to be so much fun going there on a Friday night or on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon, and getting the blanket out, throwing it down out there on the berm down the right field line, and just watching baseball. There's something just so pure about baseball, and it's why baseball movies all are successful, no matter how hokey they can be, because there's a pureness to the sport that anybody can do it. Anybody can pick up the stick, anybody can pick up the rock, and you can play. And college baseball, with the talent level that is starting to make its way in and the development we're seeing, it's really hard for it to be tainted with the way NIL and stuff work. Because while it's a big deal in some places, it's not in others. But nobody's going to give it the revenue share to just go over the top, right? Like nobody's just going to be handed out these $5 million contracts we're seeing given to players in the college and football and basketball lanes, for sure. And I think that is why it's remaining pure right now in this era. And same with college softball. I want to give a shout out. I watched Texas Tech the other day. My sister, the Bryan Bulldogs, played Texas Tech, and let me tell you, that team is stacked. If I had to make a pick right now for who I think is winning the national championship, that's what I'm putting my money on. Because we faced their fourth best pitcher, who was a lefty throwing 70 miles an hour. And if you're unfamiliar with college softball, that's impressive. And Najee Kennedy didn't even play against us. No, she just got to come and watch softball. So,
there's blood in the water if you're Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There's new players into it, and I think that goes back to the support that we are seeing for not just college softball, but women's sports as a whole.
Yes.
For the volleyball teams, the basketball teams, and especially now for college softball, getting, volleyball and softball have pro leagues now. Which is they're trying to build up. So I think it's just because of that support, and now young girls are just being more excited to be one, and especially at the high school level, that want to go play college softball because they know there may be something on the other side of that for once. So I'm excited to see. I watched Sam Houston on Friday play South Dakota and Creighton in their Bearcat Classic. Beat South Dakota pretty good, but let a sixth inning against Creighton slip away from them. But I like what Garrett Walsh has done with that team and getting them to do a 3-2 start.
I really like Coach Wallace. He's great. I'm really hoping that this year they can put it together. I remember a few years ago they won some games and won the Southland in the last year there, and went and played at the Austin Regional. And I don't think there's any reason why, with the facilities that they have and the coaching staff and the area that you're in, why that can't be the expectation for Sam Houston softball. The problem is you're in a pretty darn good softball league in Conference USA. Liberty, all they did last year, conference champions, was beat the #1 team in the country at their own place, and then come a game away from going to the College World Series. So it's going to be tough, but
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's Diamond Sports Season. It's the best time of the year.
Finally. One last thing before we go. Just to piggyback on the baseball and softball being back. What would your walk-up song be if you step back in the box?
My walk-up song. Oh, this is tough.
Gave you an hour and a half.
I know, and I completely blanked on it. Because the problem is I give all my walk-up songs to my sister now.
So what's her... I know they run.
Her walk-up song, I can't remember what it is this year. Last year it was Texas by, is it Big X the Plug?
Sure.
The one that's like, we're from Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Texas.
Yeah, that was hers because she plays in Rhode Island, so she wanted to rep Texas. Her senior year in high school, it was Here Comes the Money. Her junior year, it was by Big Sean. It was the one who was like, I just want to make the city proud. Yeah. My walk-up song, man, I'm going to have to give a shout-out to A&M legend John Byington, who hit 2 home runs on my dad's 22nd birthday and 2 games to walk off Texas and win the first series against Texas in like 20 years back in 1989. Was one of the best college baseball teams of all time, 1989 Texas A&M Aggies. His was Big John. And I think that if our line of business, walk-up songs would be what we'll play when we enter the stadium or enter the studio. And I'll look here, Big John, Big John, Big Bad John. So I think that would be my walk-up song.
Okay.
Or Gasolina, because it just hits everybody down.
I've given it a lot of thought. I'm a big player of MLB The Show. I will buy 26 when it comes out here in a couple of months. And I've found a lot of different, songs because of those soundtracks. To me, The Show has the best soundtracks now. Back in the day, it was Madden that had the great soundtracks.
No, back in the day, it was NCAA football before they stopped getting licensed.
That's true. For me, Madden was the first great soundtracks that I listened to in my elementary days. And then NBA 2K was my high school years. Those great soundtracks. And now in my adult age, it's been The Show. So I was trying to bounce between songs that I've heard on the show. So I have 2 that I would try to bounce between. La Fiesta by 116. 116 was on one of the show soundtracks a couple of years ago. It is a Hispanic song.
Reggaeton.
Yeah, reggaeton. Even though I'm not that by any stretch, but it's just got a good vibe to it. I'll have to play it for you sometime. My other one would be Limelight by Rush. I love Rush. It is. I was torn between that and Spirit of Radio, which would be fitting for me as a radio man. But I like Limelight a lot, so yeah, those would be the 2 I would look at. to be my walkups.
Valentine's Day, overrated holiday. Did you watch that last week?
I did not.
Overrated holiday?
I did tune out on the back end of the pod. I would say so.
And that's all I need. That's the only answer I need. No explanation.
Did Joe say it wasn't?
I think he was a Valentine's Day defender, if I remember correctly.
Well, there's a story behind the most recent Valentine's Day that I can remember that we'll have to talk about another time. And one of the Valentine's Day flubs that he went through because of two former employees of ours that we'll have to talk about it another time. I think it's overrated, but that's just me having been single.
You know why? It takes away from opening weekend of college baseball.
Absolutely.
Right? If you're going to go Valentine's Day, take your girl out to the baseball diamond.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. Look, you're going to get a $2 hot dog. You're going to get a little souvenir drink. You can buy her a little ice cream helmet. Usually in Texas it's like 32 degrees, so I don't know why you would want to do that. But hey, I've eaten ice cream colder at Bluebell. So that's
great. That's a fantastic point. And it's a cheap date for the most part.
If you're a student, man, you're not going to get much of a cheaper date than going out to a ballpark.
No.
And then it's cold. Till next year, date, man. I'm just telling you. Just take
it
y'all.
Take it
open weekend.
It'll be that's it for this next round of Beyond the Mic. Sir, it's good to be back.
I'm glad to have you back. It was fun with Justin last week, but it's always good when all three of us get back together.
Absolutely.
We took our little break, but now we're back, and I guess we can call this season 2.
Yeah,
season 2 of Beyond the Mic.
Season 2.
Yeah. We'll say this is season 2.
Last week was the premiere. This one was the first one to get everyone back together. And we'll just keep on rolling here every Monday. Times may fluctuate, but we try to shoot for 3:30 every single week. Live on the KSAM YouTube, and we'll have these up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts soon. Last week's episode and this episode, so be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow on Twitter again. That's Beyond TM Podcast on X/Twitter. If you will, you can see content of ours on the KSAM Instagram as well, and the KSAM Sports on Facebook. So, John, any last thoughts? Next week, it'll be interesting things to talk about. It'll be a recap of the opening weekend for college baseball. Spring training officially in full swing next week. We'll probably start talking NBA again because NBA season's going to start winding its way down towards the postseason.
Well, we're going to have the All-Star break coming up here, and then Team USA.
That's right.
Winter Olympics. So, I'm excited.
And potentially playoff-bound Hornet teams.
Basketball playoff preview in the state of Texas, but I would say curling. Dude, I know we're going over time, but that 3-rock shot that they hit to knock out, to beat Italy in the postseason, if curling can be great. So
curling is the best Olympic sport. Please change our minds.
Yes. So
try to at least.
That'll do it here on Beyond the Mic.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all next week.